Welcome to the FinLink Fincast, where we talk about everything wealth management, especially as it pertains to M&A. Here is your host, Xander Heinen.
Welcome to the FinLink Fincast. Today we have Mike Williams and Sam Sorenson from Truvestments. You're a second-time guest on the Fincast, Mike, so welcome. Truvestments is an RIA out of Sarasota and Chicago, I believe.
Yes.
And outside of wealth management services, you guys provide a ton of advisor and CPA educational material, marketing materials, and tools. Sam, I'm going to kind of kick that over to you to give a brief product description of what you guys offer, especially in the marketing department.
Thank you. So thank you, everybody, and wonderful to be here, Xander. What we do, we have Demogronomics, which is something Mike and I started a decade ago, and that takes a look at the market economics through the lens of demography. So everything we do in terms of the way we build portfolios, the way we build our markets, the way we view all news, not just economic news, but political news, world news, every current event that happens, every piece of data, we filter through that lens of demography, and that informs everything we do. So that's our unique position, and that is the data that is the foundation of all these other levers that are pulled in the world and in our country. So that's based on the baby boom generation, Generation X, Generation Y, and now Generation Z, and the varying sizes of those generations. And really, it's really good news for the future economy, for the United States investor, and for anybody who takes a look at our portfolios, because it's been built on that for decades. So that's kind of the overview that I want to make sure we level set. In terms of everything else, we have a library of videos. Our marketing thesis is based on education, educating advisors in the way we look at these pieces, but also educating investors. Because our feeling is a lot of investors are sort of like a pinball in a pinball machine. They're bouncing all over. There's so much data that comes in, so much of it is garbage, and so much of it is noise that we really want to filter it down, make it simple. So we build a lot of our educational materials to calm the noise and to help investors understand what the real levers are that are pulling on the United States economy and the world economy.
And Mike, you've been in the industry for some time, and everyone, it's Mike's birthday today, so happy birthday again, Mike. But you have a fascinating story. I think you came in when the Dow was, what, 900?
901. That's right.
Yeah.
I have been blessed to, first of all, thanks for having us on, Xander. It's always wonderful to see you. I guess what happens after 43 years of doing this is you learn a couple of things. And what we've learned, which I think benefits everyone, is there were two ways you could have handled the last 43 years. You could have been an investor and gone about your life and just been an investor, just stuck to your path and focused on your life. Don't pay attention to all the junk that goes on and will continue to go on. Or you could have, had a few newsletters and a couple of different advisors and watch a lot of TV and read a bunch of Wall Street Journal articles and get online and probably read, 25 or 30 different financial websites. You could have plugged into all the media, and what you would have found yourself doing is losing a lot of money compared to the guy that didn't do that. And what you learn is that there is no Armageddon, that there is no apocalypse. There are things that are described that way for one purpose, and that is to scare the crap out of us. And more importantly, get our attention, because what we don't realize after 43 years is the media became a business that was based on attention. I don't mean that badly towards anyone, but it is a reality. And if you understand that, you recognize how it can be used against you and in not the best interest of your own pathway. What we also learned was that people drive whatever the future is going to be. We can yell and scream at each other, and we can not like each other or like each other. We can get lost in politics. All of it's a waste. What really makes our future is where a bunch of us crowd together. Generational structure um, drives whatever economic output is coming. And what the good news is that we are, as a country, positioned for the very best times ahead. We have never, ever had the pipeline of demand driven by real people that actually exist. They're already there. They're just spread across the time continuum. And for most, that doesn't mean anything. For most, they don't understand what all that would mean until you actually think of them as like eggs going through a snake. When you think about an egg going through a snake, what happens to the snake's body when it swallows a big egg? Well, in order to digest it, the body has to expand. You can actually watch the egg go all the way down. That's how generations work. Generations of people arrive on the scene, so to speak, and they explode the economy. And then as they leave, the economy shrinks back down. We, as the United States, as a country, are blessed with an exorbitant amount of people in the pipeline. We now have 2 generations, each 20 years in time span, 2 generations coming at us in the pipeline of demand that are larger than the baby boom generation, back to back. Never in the history of this country has that happened. So when people are kind of scratching their heads and thinking, gosh, we got over COVID and we got over the wars and we got over inflation, we got over politics and we got over interest rates, we got over all the earnings worries, and now we're at records on everything. We're at records on everything. And yet still, as we speak, the latest AAII sentiment poll shows that 1 in 4 people like the stock market. 3 in 4 don't. At record highs. Record.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I've been doing this 43 years. I've never seen this before. I've never seen this much fear, trepidation, question, angst. People have gotten lost in this frenzy of noise, and they don't realize how good it's going to be.
Yeah, you brought up a really interesting point, and I know you and I have spoken about my background at First Eagle Funds, and
Got it.
one of my mentors, I'd call him Jean-Marie Eviard, always used to say, don't listen to the noise. And my favorite quote is, "It's warm inside the herd until the herd falls off a cliff." So stay, keep on your path, keep investing,
Yeah.
hold, hodl, as we'll get
Yep.
into.
Yep.
With that said, 1 in 4 people, don't have favorable views on the equities market, securities markets. There's a whole new market that you and I have been watching since
Yes.
2010.
Yes.
Is when you and I got interested in this.
Yes.
For everyone, Mike was a very early adopter of digital assets, Bitcoin, and he and Sam have created the Digital Assets Learning Summit, and also a fund. And I think everybody tries to shove Bitcoin and digital assets down people's throats these days. So I don't want this podcast to have that same sentiment. What really is amazing about what you guys are doing is you're teaching advisors about the asset class.
Yes.
And there is a huge misunderstanding or fear-generated avoidance of digital assets. And I think, obviously that was a big thing in the beginning, and Mike and I took our licks by getting in early. But it obviously has evolved into a huge asset class with now access to financial advisors with Grayscale and all these ETFs that have come out. So I'd really love for you guys to explain, what the Digital Assets Learning Summit is, how you guys, what inspired you to create it. I think I may have hit on that a bit, but I'd love to hear it out of your mouths. And what kind of transformations are you seeing as you are watching advisors kind of adopt this and after attending your summits?
What happened, Xander, is we were in the midst of finishing an hour-long documentary on Demogronomics and the last 10 years, and how the market had gone from 15,000 and everyone was terrified because they thought that was the top, and it's just gone over 46,000, and now everyone's terrified, and anybody who was terrified then and didn't get in missed all those returns. And Mike calls me up and he says, "Okay, it's time. It's go time on digital assets." So we had not done a lot of marketing stuff on digital assets because of SEC regulations. And that just handcuffed, and I'm sure your entire audience understands that handcuffed everybody. Now, a new administration, a complete rewiring of SEC rules, Treasury reserves. We started looking at what Michael Saylor had started doing in COVID, which was a move out of desperation, and now has made him the greatest financial genius in the last century. And Mike really started first he had to tell me so I could understand, but he was telling. Now, here's the thing. I just want to make it clear. I've known Mike for a long time. He's always the guy who is the calm voice in the room. Everyone else is panicking. Here comes Armageddon. And he says, "There's no Armageddon." One thing Mike has always said is, you can only bet on the end of the world once. And that's not an investment strategy. So this was a different Mike who called me several months ago. He said, "We got to get moving now. This thing is going to move fast, and we need to get all of our ducks in a row right now." So he explained to me SEC stuff, and then we started going through, well, what are foreign governments doing? What are state governments doing? We went from having 0 state governments looking at a Bitcoin treasury reserve to 40 with at some point in the legislation, and that happened overnight. BlackRock went from having 0 Bitcoin to 750,000 Bitcoin. Michael Saylor went from 0 to 640,000. So they're in an arms race, and there's a scarcity issue. Now, the scarcity issue, most people who know something about Bitcoin understand there's a capped supply at 21 million Bitcoin that will ever be available. So far, miners have mined in the first 15 years of Bitcoin's existence, 19.9 million. So there's 1.1 million that will be mined over the next 140 years because of the halving schedule that's baked into the code. So all of that instantly makes you go, okay, if this is the future, if this is going to be the new store of value, and once BlackRock and once Wall Street and once the biggest government in the world, in terms of financial strength, the United States adopts it, this train has left the station, and the limited supply makes it that much more desperate to get the message out. So then when you start looking at the limited supply, and this is what I'm working on our current documentary, which is going to be coming out in the next few weeks, and we're going to have a premiere in Sarasota. So come on down, everybody. Let's fill a theater. The supply is not a true 21 million anymore because there are 3 to 4 million lost coins. Because in the old days, when someone got 10,000 coins for a few bucks, they would lose their wallet, they would lose their passcode, and the code was so secure that if you lost your keys, that Bitcoin is still there somewhere, but it's locked away. So then you start looking at institutions and the hodlers, the hold on for dear lifers, and the amount of Bitcoin that is actually available out of that 21 million shrinks down to, by some figures, around 5 million. 5 million Bitcoin for the rest of us. So, and we talked about it right away. If every millionaire in the world wanted a Bitcoin, they couldn't even come close to owning a full Bitcoin because there's not enough to go around. So he laid that groundwork for me, and I flew down to Sarasota. I brought my camera crew, and we started rolling. And the cool thing is, Mike predicted this. Like our Demogronomics library has essentially the prediction of he would always talk about look at these generations and look at technology and look at the way they're going to merge. And
Yep.
exactly what we said is what would happen is happening. And even before Mike and I worked together, I've got decades of his appearances on CNBC and Fox News and Bloomberg. And the consistency of message and results goes back to the 90s. So it's
Yeah, I
really
loved
cool.
watching you change over the years, Mike.
Right.
Same message though.
That's right. Message. A few things to really help your audience understand this, Xander, is a year ago, we couldn't have this conversation.
Mhm.
So everybody thinks that Bitcoin's been around for a long time. It hasn't. It was around, but nobody was going to touch it with a 10-foot pole. Nobody was going to touch it. It wasn't widespread. No general audience was able to capture any benefit from it. It wasn't being utilized the way it's going to be utilized. Nothing was really happening except guys saying, hey, eventually it's going to really be important. Um, but then all the laws started happening. Then the SEC stopped attacking everybody that touched Bitcoin. Then they said, hey, it's an open door. Then the Treasury Secretary said, hey, by the way, this stablecoin thing, it's actually pretty good. And then countries started adopting, and then wealthy participants started adopting, and then Wall Street jumped on the train. So when I describe this as new, some people scratch their heads and go, you gotta be kidding me. Well, to the audience, this is a year old. This is there's this is the equivalent, Xander, and I fully believe this. This is the equivalent of when I started on Wall Street. Because see, what we're doing today is we're describing to people what Bitcoin is. What are digital assets? What do they do? Why do they do it? Why are we even talking about it? Just like in 1982, when I had a client sitting in the office and I said, we need to put $1,000 a month away in your mutual fund, they had no friggin' idea what I meant by a mutual fund. I had to
Yeah,
pull out. I literally, back then, American funds would send you boxes of prospectus. You would you would have to pull out the prospectus and you'd have to walk people through the page. And by the way, if you didn't do it, the SEC would come in and say, well, you're not abiding by the regulations. You know,
right.
you have to explain to people what this is. It's your responsibility that they understand what a mutual fund is. Well, think how far we've come. But yet, for the digital world, we're right back to there. We're
Yeah, I was gonna say, and I speak with obviously a lot of advisors, and a lot of them don't understand the digital asset space.
correct.
Um, they don't really want to hear it because it's had this kind of this negative aura around it until last year and a half.
Yes.
And then they certainly don't have the knowledge base to educate their clients on it. And that kind of leads me to a question that I'd written out for this podcast: are what are the biggest risks for advisors who don't educate themselves or their clients on this paradigm shift, which we are talking about? But another thing that adds to that is digital assets are somewhat merging with the current
Oh,
stock market, treasury markets, fixed income markets.
absolutely.
Tokenization is beginning. I know Galaxy Digital with Novogratz. I read that the other day with I think it was Solana and Scaramucci with Avalanche. So a lot of people may not understand what I'm talking about, but if you want to go into a little bit about the marriage of the future of how economies are going to work
Right.
globally
Right.
on a digital uh,
Right.
asset backed infrastructure.
So the risk, let me answer one of your first questions that you brought up. The risk an advisor takes on is the following. You do not want your competitor to know more than you do. Because when the light bulb does come on, and it will come on for everyone will get Bitcoin at the price they deserve. Everyone will understand it at a price. Unfortunately, for 90% of the audience, the end user will not get it at a lower price. They will get it at a higher price. They will get it when someone says, you're not going to believe this, but Bitcoin now costs the same as the average home in America. They'll start going, I had heard about Bitcoin, but it costs what a house costs? Are you kidding me? That's where we're going to start watching advisors poach marketplaces, because you must be the leading voice in this change. Let me give you a sense of where we're headed as an economy. We're headed to a world that works 365 days, 24 hours a day, and never stops. We've all grown up with this idea that the business cycle each day follows the sun. The sun rises, business wakes up. That's going away. What's going to happen is in about 5 years, maybe sooner, by the time we reach the end of this decade, it will be a global 24-hour-a-day event. You'll go home and your robots will do your work while you're gone. You'll arrive in the morning, they will have done 12 hours of work. You'll arrive at your desk, you'll give them 12 more hours of work to do. They will do business with each other. They will close contracts, they will wire money, they will pay invoices, they will move product, they will make sure shipping contracts are ready, they will make sure shipping containers are full. This will happen all the time, everywhere, any place. And guess what? In that world, what we used to call money doesn't work. It does not. It's incapable of operating that way. So I used to describe it this way in the notes, and I still do. I say, look, Star Trek is coming faster than you understand. And I know it sounds nutty, but it is. And the more the day goes by, the more days we get older, the faster it's accelerating. And the problem with change is this. It happens slowly at first, and there's lots of choices. And then it speeds up, and the choices thin. And then all of a sudden, you get this notice in your bank statement that says, by the way, you have to have chosen your stable coins by the end of September. And people go, honey, what's a stable coin? And what the hell is going to happen to our dollars? Well, stable coins are dollars, but they're in the digital world, not the paper world. And we have some realities around paper money that if we don't understand them quickly, we're going to keep losing money. Everybody said to themselves, my gosh, the dollar doesn't do what it used to do. Well, guess what? In 5 years, you're going to say it again. And in 10 years, you're going to say it more. And in 20 years, you're going to keep saying it. It's not going to stop. That's the problem, in that what advisors must help their client understand is kind of something simple. It's going to sound ridiculous when I say it, but our entire lives, we grew up thinking that the dollars we pull out of our pocket are money. And they're not. They're currency. And people will go, oh, Mike, that's just stupid. What is that? You're nutty. There's not even a difference. Well, no, that's not true. Currency is a decided value of immediate occurrence. In other words, you say to me, Xander, that it costs X number of dollars to be a member at FinLink. Well, that's right that moment we are talking about a currency transaction. And for that, the dollar is wonderful. It's fantastic. But you know what? When I talk to you a year from now, my guess is that it's not going to be whatever we talk about today. It's going to be another set of dollars. So you see, we've got to recognize that we've lived our whole lives thinking that a dollar is money. A dollar is currency. Now, it happens to be the global currency, but it's currency. Money,
For now.
right, for now, money is supposed to hold its value. Well, why do you think nobody keeps dollars and they take dollars and they buy stuff with it that grows in value? Well, you do that because the dollar doesn't act like money. What you want in your money is something that stabilizes its value and grows over time. We have in our history so far called that things like real estate, businesses, stocks, bonds, but we didn't call it dollars. Now we get to call it Bitcoin. But the difference between this asset and all the other assets are numerous. But what its true difference is nobody controls your wealth except you. That's it. You can move it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You want to send someone $10 million at 9:05 at night on Saturday? You can do it that quickly, and it'll cost you about $1. Try doing that with your bank.
Mm-hmm.
Try calling your bank and saying, my mom has an emergency and I need to get her $100,000 right this minute. It is never going to happen, ever. And it is
You certainly can't get that in cash.
not
They won't
exactly.
provide that.
That has to be by appointment. And by the way, I've tried that. I was told by Bank of America,
First
I
US.
wanted $100,000. They could do it next Tuesday after 2:00.
He was paying me back for some money I'd lent him.
That was 1 week, Xander. 1 week I could get my cash. I don't know about you, but if a problem ever really happens, you don't have a week.
Yep.
So,
yep.
so what's that mean to the advisor audience? Every single thing we know about money is going to change. It's going to get better. It's going to be more efficient. It's going to be more profitable. It is going to be an entire wave, layer after layer of every part of the financial system is going to change. It's going to build on itself. We kind of try to refer to it as, imagine the guys that first were sitting in the East and said to themselves, let's build a railroad to the West. And somebody looked at him and went, what are you talking about? Well, if we take these two steel tracks and we create this thing and we lay it across the land, we'll be able to take an engine and we'll be able to drive materials straight across the country. Now, literally, they did not know it wouldn't be straight across the country. But the point is it was a new system, like electricity, like water power, like oil. It is the new oil of the new economy. You have to have it to power what's going to take place. We bought Bitcoin very early, but we also bought Ethereum very early. It was literally a month and a half old, and it was $6.50. Now,
When we have very few choices on good digital currencies.
you got no legal contract to tokenize an asset other than Ethereum. Yep. Everything will be built on it. Every single thing you're hearing BlackRock talk about, every time you hear the word tokenization, right now you can tokenize real estate in Dubai, but you got to have Ethereum. You got to have that set of railroad tracks. So you want to think, if you're an advisor, you want to help your client realize these are layers of a financial system. It happens to be the future financial system, and you and your client have two choices. Two. It's kind of like that joke we talked about. If you got a problem, anyway.
Two things.
So there's two choices. You can agree with me now and look at all the facts, and you can participate. In doing so, you will become very wealthy, because the change is where the wealth is built. It's not the artifact itself, it's the process of the shift. Okay. So, or you don't have to agree with me. You don't have to agree. You don't have to believe anything I'm telling you. You will. You will. There will be a time where you will. The question is, do you want your client to change their entire family's wealth structure? Or do you want them to just be part of the crowd that they're part of now?
Yep. Yep. And I want to keep on that theme of railroads, not to bring conspiratorial issues into this podcast about centralized banking systems, but if you haven't read it, for any of our listeners, Creature of Jekyll Island will illuminate
Yes.
your eyes as to how those systems work. Also, I don't know if you've read The Power of Gold by Bernstein, but he goes into the difference between money and currency. And that is a huge distinction that is simple, but you have to really absorb it.
Yeah, you have to know they mean different things.
Correct.
And now that's not the advisor's fault. It's commonplace. In other words, you and I go grab 1,000 people and we say, is there a difference between money and currency? And they're going to go, no.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's the system being taught that has caused them to misunderstand that there really is a big difference. And your future depends on it.
Yeah, and so let's circle back to the summit. What does the summit look like? How long is it? I did see a very nice little teaser video that you did from the last one, but for any of the advisors out there who'd like to partake in the next event, would love to hear the structure and what you learn and the kind of what that looks like.
Yep. So we bring you in for 3 days. We come in, we get to know everybody who's going to be a part of it. Everyone has a dinner. We've got hotel rooms all kind of in the same area. We block them off. And then we spend those 2.5 days together going over all of the basics and all of the nuances. So we do a blend of Mike kind of holds court, gives the lay of the land. We show a lot of videos to make sure like we can connect people to all these different points that are evolving in real time. Every time we do one of these, the videos are different because things have changed from the previous one. And then we have questions. We've built some PowerPoints where we kind of have an FAQ, and Mike and I will kind of go back and forth with some of the common questions that some advisors have, but certainly clients will have. Like 21 million. Well, can't they just make more? Because these hackers can just do anything. And we can explain why Bitcoin it's not a currency. Bitcoin is a technology. The way the blockchain is developed, the peer-to-peer analysis, the way it's overseen by institutions and users and nodes, the way nonces work, the way all of these pieces going together to build the blockchain makes that a hard-coded reality. But it's easy when you don't understand it, it's easy to kind of just be overwhelmed by it. And certainly a lot of clients will be. So our big thing there is to make sure that we give all of these different bullet points. We give Mike's analysis, we give the videos, we give a chance for them to ask their questions to make sure the advisor can walk away and go, okay, now I'm armed with the information that I need. And it's a little boot camp, and making sure people understand what we're really facing. Because it's also easy to, as you described a few minutes ago, Xander, to kind of go, it's a Ponzi scheme, or it's been dismissed, or, really powerful people in finance have dismissed it historically. One by one, the dominoes tip, but
they come back, right?
Yes.
And then they had to admit they were incorrect. And Sam's right; they are very powerful. But here's the one thing that I think. First of all, Xander, we limit it to it's a small group because we want to be very focused. So there's only between 10 and 12 advisors at a time. We cover all their meals. We cover all the food, all the hotel. They just got to get here. There is a fee for the process. It's minimal compared to what lots of things cost guys like us these days in the advisor business. But here's the thing that we try to really be very transparent about. This business is full of garbage. Okay, this business is full of charades. I've been around a long time. The one most important thing we can deliver is real experience the entire time. In other words, this isn't like we grabbed a book, read about Bitcoin, and said, hey, we could build a really good summit out of this.
Mm-hmm.
This is, we lived every minute of it. We lived every up and down. We lived every regulatory problem. We lived every Armageddon. We lived every step of the way. So it allows us to share face to face those realizations. And it comes to the advisor without all the media hype, good or bad. It just comes very cleanly and from a very realistic, honest, and transparent point of view. Why? Well, it's because it's going to be vital that they share that in the same manner with their client. We even offer to get on the phone with their clients. We offer to do webinars for their clients. We offer to help them teach their client. As you've already heard, we have weeks away from the only documentary of its kind about Bitcoin, the coming revolution. You as an advisor who attends the summits, you get first stabs at your territory, because there's only going to be one guy that's going to show the movie in your theater, and that's going to be you. You don't want your competition to do that. That is not the guy that you want showing the movie in your territory. So it is important. There is some value. The reason Sam is there amongst several is that his expertise, for example, if someone says, I want my territory, well, we use the summit as a way to have them in a closed environment. We tape them, we interview them. Sam sort of undersells all of his successes. He's a 5-time Emmy winner, so he's not, he didn't fall off the truck yesterday. Real Hollywood guy. We call him Sam Spielberg, to be short.
In my contract that they call me that.
That's true. The point is this: you're going to be put on film in a way you've never been able to present yourself in your marketplace. You will immediately become better than everybody in your market as far as a prospect or client is concerned. Because here's what they're going to say when you see what an advisor walks away with: materials that have never been used before in their market, materials that will place them way above their competition. And here's what their prospect and client will say: I've never had anybody explain it to me this way. What do I do now? Which, if you're an advisor, you can't get a better outcome. There's no way to produce something better than that, because then and only then do you have the door open to utilize your expertise, your passion to help that client.
And the market needs this, Mike. So from a Bitcoiner, thank you for bringing that to the world for financial advisors, just to explain to their clients. I remember, the first time the BlackRock ETF came out, and I called the Merrill Lynch guy and I said, what are your thoughts? Like, I don't even know what I'm talking about. So, one of these big wirehouses should have trained them a little better. So it's nice that you guys are offering this type of educational material. Also, I just wanted to go back into the movie theater territory. So you guys are renting out theaters, basically.
Yes.
The advisor who claims the territory has viewings where he can bring in prospects.
Correct.
They have Mr. Spielberg over here, who's created this incredible documentary that just kind of reiterates what the advisor has learned from an advisor perspective in the summit, and it's digested that down to a client kind of educational documentary, which is a great way to prospect and obviously educate current clients. So
Yes.
You can imagine when an advisor gets their invite into the audience and all the systems that do this are already plugged in for them. When you are the person showing a Bitcoin movie, just think of how many people will line up for the next 3 to 4 years in your marketplace to hear about what this means. What does this mean to me? And you're going to be the only person telling the story. Where do you think they're going to go to have their financial services done? I mean, what are they going to walk down the street to Merrill Lynch? Of course they're not. They're never going to deal with Merrill Lynch again. By the way, Xander, I've done this a long time. I've always been an independent. And what's great for independents is we only deal with them. We don't have the big houses in our offices. We've always competed with the big houses. And the good news for the independent advisor that might listen, the big houses still make the same mistakes they made when I started in 1982. They never changed. They got bigger, they got older, but kind of like me, I got bigger and older, but they didn't change the way they served a client, which is why the opportunity is so massive.
Over the last 2 days was an incredible flood of information.
This was eye-opening.
Ground floor opportunity that we may never see again.
It's faster, they can make money on it. It's a whole new Wall Street.
These 3 days, I would say, have been the most valuable 3 days of my 35-year career.
Leading cryptocurrency. Another new record high for Bitcoin.
Bitcoin hits yet another record high.
Bitcoin well above 110,000.
It's unbelievable. Bitcoin just hit a brand new high. This thing is on the move, definitely.
It's important to know that over the last 6 months, multiple catalysts are unfolding across the board. They're going to change everything in our economy.
President Trump
signing an executive order
creating a U.S. strategic Bitcoin reserve.
Look at how the government,
the U.S. taking the worldwide lead in crypto,
at both the federal and state level, has reshaped the national policy.
2 groundbreaking bills
on digital assets and digital currencies.
Truly, if you understand what's going on around you, this is transformation right before our eyes.
The SEC is acting, states are acting, regulations are acting, major steps in an entire financial system. That's how quickly it's happening.
I think there's an incredible sense of urgency. The lag of time is going to cost you money. So for my clients to get involved as soon as possible.
Definitely they need to know now. I mean, it's going lightning speed.
I was a skeptic.
Oh, how times have changed.
Look at how all the big Wall Street players have quickly made massive moves into Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other digital assets.
JP Morgan's CEO says clients can now buy the cryptocurrency.
Be the tokenization of financial assets.
It's happening all around us.
Bitcoin. Additional Bitcoin. $8 billion in inflows into Bitcoin ETF.
And it is reshaping our economic future in real time.
Mike Williams, market strategist, joining us.
You know, I've been doing this a long time.
Bring in Mike Williams.
Mike Williams.
Mike Williams.
Here today with
Mike Williams. Mike, good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Full disclosure, I've known Mike since I was a kid.
Over the decades, lots of things came and went.
The general public invests on their emotions. We guide our clients to invest on data.
As the evolution continues, money will attract.
The way Mike explained it, it made me a believer. There's an unprecedented opportunity to create true generational wealth.
1/21 millionth of everything.
Mike just thinks differently than most people. He has the type of brain that a lot of people wish they had, and I'm just thankful to be around him to soak up some of that knowledge.
We all know it's scary for a lot of people. There will be lots of questions. It's scary for your clients, but it's also exciting.
We're living through a historic moment in the global economy. It sets the stage for an opportunity we have never seen before, and I believe we'll never see again. Change is happening incredibly fast. We've told people that for years, and it's important that you understand it. That's why we're hosting brand new, one-of-a-kind Bitcoin and Digital Asset Learning Summits. In this 3-day event, we will train you in everything you need to know about Bitcoin, the blockchain, Ethereum, digital currencies, and tokenized assets. Where to start, how to address the questions your clients and prospects will have, the options for managing their money in this emerging space, and most important, preparing you for all of the prospects that you will be the leading voice for. We'll show you multiples that you will not believe until we show you the math that makes it undeniable.
I think the most mind-blowing moment was when we went through the numbers.
This changes lives.
If Mike's wrong and just a quarter right of what we looked at, it's still spectacular.
All the wealth in all the categories that are large.
You can't miss out on this.
Now is the time, and every month that we wait, it's just going to cost more to get into.
This is real. This is as real gets.
Cash is something you've lost half your purchasing power in the last 15 years. Yep. Is that safe?
Remember, it's not, is it a good day to buy Bitcoin? It's, is it a good day to stop my money from deteriorating?
It's the first deflationary currency. It's the future of money. So we will answer this in the documentary.
We'll also arm you with the latest marketing tools created by our award-winning team, so you too can deliver the strongest message in the industry to your clients, your prospects, and your market.
Truvestments does stay on the leading edge of all of this.
This conference was excellent. Truvestments really did their homework.
This is so unique. I've been in this industry for 30 years. I've been with broker-dealers. I've been with RIA firms. This is so unique.
Look, every professional in this business knows this year has been dizzying so far. The stage is set for the rest of the year to be life-changing. Do not miss this opportunity. Join us. Let's talk Bitcoin, Ethereum, tokens, tokenization, and real-world assets. Let's cover the uncomfortable stuff. Let's talk about the digital economy that's unfolding in front of us right now.
This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
Don't miss it. Period, end of story. Do not miss it.
When we're finished spending time together, you will agree we are on the leading edge of the largest tectonic shift our industry has seen in the last century.
Well, that's excellent. And thanks guys so much. And we'll definitely we'll schedule another call with you both.
Thanks,
awesome.
man. Good to see you, Xander.
All right. Talk soon.